Viewers who do not know who you are, maybe would want to hear a sound of who you are.
Yeah.
What's your name? What do you do? Where do you come from? Thank you, sir.
I'll try to be very attentive to the questions. So my name is Jjumba. Many people know me as Pastor Jjumba, a title that I don't take lightly, a title that I am honored to have with all the many things that I am. That see, I already go somewhere. When the Bible describes titles, there is no title that is higher or above the title of servant of God. So when I am identified as servant of God, it is something I don't take lightly. So when people call me pastor, it is something that just fulfills my existence.
Wow.
I was born in a little village somewhere in Masaka, deep down there in Uganda. Yes, that's where I was born. Very happy and proud of that little village. It's called Chigasa. That was, can you guess which year? That was
2000.
that was in January 1980. That's when I was born. So that means I have a good, beautiful, long life of 45 years. My parents, by the grace of God, are still alive. It's a touchy subject. My mother, she just turned 70, but she has this condition called dementia or Alzheimer's disease. So she has absolutely no memory of any of us. But she's alive. Visibly, she's happy. If you see her in a room, she would be visibly one of the happy people in the room. Her name is Jane Lukwago. My father, Mr. Lukwago, is alive also. Chigasa, somewhere in Masaka there.
Wow.
That's where I come from. That's where my village in Masaka in Uganda, the beautiful continent of Africa.
We are in Canada today.
We are in Canada today.
What do we do in Canada now?
In Canada, maybe I can start quickly. I can take a few steps back. My father had, and my mother's had so many of us. I was still able to go to good schools. But as you might know, in Uganda, you have to pay to go to school, whether it's elementary or high school or university. The reason I was able to do that is because when I was in P5, so grade 5, I, by the grace of God, was able to get a sponsor through Compassion International.
Oh my God. That is long time ago, eh?
Yeah, long time ago. So
I know Compassion. It's been there forever.
Yeah,
It's
for
been
a
a
very long
blessing
time.
for many of
I am a living testimony of that.
Compassion
blessing.
Uganda.
Yes.
It's an amazing job that you have done. Thank you, and God bless you for the good work. Yes.
Because of what they do, and later I found out how it works. Really, how it works is somebody like you right now, you sign up and you send $40 every month
for someone to survive and go to school.
Go to good schools, get good education. That's how it works.
$5 a paycheck, $10 a paycheck. A month you have $40.
$40.
You can donate to Compassion Uganda. Bless a child in Uganda to go to school. And then we shall have many of me. Many of Pastor Eddie's. Wow, inspiring the world.
As far as academics goes, a lot of people have been a part of my journey. But anyway, so you asked what do I do here. So when I went to university in Uganda, I did a Bachelor of Arts in Social Sciences. I majored in psychology. When I came here, I went to school again.
Starting afresh.
Yes. I would say adding on to what I had already done.
You didn't start afresh, you added on. Okay.
I added on to what I already done. So I did a postgraduate diploma in autism and behavior science. Then I did a master's degree in clinical counseling. So I'm a registered psychotherapist now. But what do I do
now?
Right now for a living? I am a full-time minister. I'm a full-time pastor. Where we are sitting right now is my little nice office at the church called Milliken Wesleyan Methodist Church. That is who employs me right now. And I am beyond grateful for where I am right now in my life. not so much because of the job, but so many things all put together. My for where I am in my life, for many reasons, and those two are definitely one of them.
Primary reasons.
Family and my work. This job,
Pastor Eddie,
is more than a job. Yes.
I am so grateful, by the way. I am so grateful for being honored to have you and have your story. Many people, I want to think, are blessed because of you. There have been many demands for you to come and tell us your story. Many people think that Pastor Eddie has something different from others. One, he's a very humble man, very humble for this matter. And the reason that I have him here is one of those primary reasons that one can base on and say that he's a very, very humble man. I remember a time when I last worked with you or met with you. I remember the day I met with you. It was July 1st.
Yeah.
Of what year? 2023. I have a memory like you.
Yes.
Yes. But the other time we tried to do something, you tried to lead up a group that I tried to be part of.
I remember that.
You remember? Do you remember me?
Yes.
No. But my question is, many people are pressing a demand to hear from you because they think you have something inspirational to help them. The position you stand in as a servant of God, the community you stand in, the Canadian community, the Ugandan community. How is it possible for you to have all those integrated together, and how can it be an inspiration to a new Ugandan, a newcomer Ugandan to Canada, who is trying to find themselves, who is trying to want to be like you, looking up to you?
Thank you, Colin. So I would even say about the integration of the places I belong to. I would even say right now, so the church where I am senior pastor now, we counted recently, there are 28 nations that gather here. So the congregation has members from 28 different nations. So the luxury to, at least as a pastor, the luxury to only think of myself as only one thing, I don't have that luxury anymore, which is a good challenge for me. But it's a good challenge, and for me, it helps me to face the reality of what it means once you walk outside of these doors. Because once you walk outside of these doors, you find all kinds of people. So, very first thing that I want to share with that person who is wondering is, first of all, to regardless of where you are, you could be in the midst of 29 different nations, but value yourself as a, so if I can address a Ugandan right now, value yourself. Doesn't matter if you're sitting next to somebody from Italy or somebody Caucasian from Canada. Value yourself. You are valuable, and you have much that you can add on to this country. Many times we think of ourselves as, I'm going to use this word sensitively, as beggars. We come here and we can only get. I think that mentality is very, very self-defeating. But when you think of yourself as somebody who can add value here, it does something to your mindset and to your actions. Then you wherever you go, you are trying to ask the question, how can I make this place better? How can I add value to this place? And you will indeed add value. I want to encourage anyone who lands at that place called Pearson or whichever way you come in. Think of yourself as somebody who has what it takes add value to this country, Canada, and you'll be amazed how much value you can add.
Adding value to this land and valuing yourself.
Yeah, consider yourself valuable because you are valuable.
One time, we are talking now to newcomers mostly because they face the biggest challenge in this land. I don't know what percentage I would rate it. You would help me. Most people who come to this land go for social assistance.
Yeah.
I think it's the rule of the land. And indeed, it's a blessing.
Yeah.
It's a very big blessing. But it's so unfortunate how we don't want to come off social assistance. And I think that is one of the reasons you would come with the word like beggars. Because we don't want to stand out to be independent.
Yeah.
We don't want to go out there and hustle. And it's not only for maybe Ugandans, I would say, it's for everyone. Everyone has a privilege who comes to this world.
Yeah.
This country, this part of the country, this part of the world is really blessed. When I got here every day, I would pray for Canada.
Yeah.
I had never thought of such a blessing like this, where you get accommodation, food, education, free cost, like free of charge.
Yeah.
But we don't utilize it. So a newcomer is there. They have come here, they went to school back home, but they are not even finding work. It's even becoming hard for them to find a job. What are you telling them? How are they going to manage to do it?
Yeah. First of all, I think it is, as you said, really unfortunate and for me a bit heartbreaking if anybody who could come off social assistance. For the viewers who may not know what we're talking about, social assistance, kind of the definition is in the word. It is assistance given to people that need financial assistance for them to sustain themselves for that short time. So Canada has a system like that. And I think many countries, even our beautiful Uganda, I think that kind of system is possible if the funds are governed well.
You said possible,
yes,
but it's not happening.
If the funds are governed well. Because countries, I digress a little bit. Countries don't have like other sources of income. The major source of income for any country is revenue.
Yeah.
Revenue from people, taxes.
Yeah.
Most countries collect taxes from people. If those taxes were well governed, you'll be amazed how much can be done. But that's a different conversation altogether, and we'll maybe get into that one day. But I want to say, if somebody is on social assistance for the time when they need it, maybe 5 or 6 months or a little bit more, and the time comes and they actually could get off social assistance, and then they choose not to get off social assistance, that is a sickness. That is a mindset that we need to be delivered from.
It's a bondage.
It's a bondage. It's a mindset of keeping ourselves in a certain bracket, and I find that very unfortunate if it is true for some people. But I'm also I'm very aware of sometimes very challenging circumstances some people are living in and through. So if you need the help, take the help. But don't categorize yourself. Don't let that be your new identity. That for me, I'm always going to be on the receiving end of help. No. You need to also pray hard and trust that you can, at some point, be on the giving end of help.
How do we get on the giving end? How do we give?
So when you add value to yourself, you become very marketable. For example, when you come here and you go back to school or you start a business, some people are very gifted. Within a very short time, you become, by default, you jump out from the bracket of people who need to be helped financially, and you go into the bracket of people who can help financially. You have crossed the line. All of us have the capacity to do that.
The first time I am your assistant.
Yeah.
But
interesting you use the word. Yes. So I want to be clear for me, because for all of my life, I have worked with people, so I am in the people industry.
Yeah.
So I want to highlight that I am aware there can be a time in somebody's life
that you need
when
help.
they need help, and God help you take the help when you need it. So I wouldn't use the word lightly.
Because it pained me so much every time. Me personally, it pained me so much that when I sat down one day to think about the assistance I received from the government and where I want to go, those two would not meet. Because the government will never get tired of helping you.
Yeah.
Never. They can never throw you out. But you as a person who has a future or a plan, how are you going to come out and be independent? Because when you receive assistance for a long time, that's how they take you. They carry you along like that.
Yeah.
They don't see no value in you. You can't do anything for yourself. When I was privileged, when I was done with my first diploma, I was hired. When I went for my placement, I was hired immediately. Yeah. When I got my first paycheck, I called my worker. Yeah. I was like, hey, I want to come off assistance. He's like, no, they give us employment benefit. So he's like, oh, you still have to get employment benefit. I said, no, I am fine. So he asked me, what's your income? I told him. He was like, oh, but I say, sir, I am okay. Just write me off. Yeah. I don't want to be there. Not that I had much. But as a newcomer, as a person who had just come to this land, I had studied something about being big, developing yourself, and being of value to this land. Yeah. When you bring the value to this land, you'll get more value. If you decide to just sit out there to receive, like you said, being a beggar, you're not going to get out of the stagnant zone. You're not going to get out of that zone. So I left, and what was so worse, I didn't even stop working. I started working so hard that the tax I would give every month, every 2 weeks, was over $1,000. It's true.
So in the eyes of the Revenue Canada, you are a productive member of the society. Exactly. We are able to do that in a very direct way. So when you come and you, in terms of mindset, and you put it in your mind that I am not going to stay in this phase where I need help for a long time, it really truly can happen. It is possible to be on social assistance for maybe 2 months or 3 months, which is okay. 6 months, maybe you stabilize. But during that time, I want to repeat this. If you take nothing from me, my friends that are listening, if you take nothing, take this. Be very intentional when it comes to adding value to yourself. I'll give you a quick example of adding value to yourself. See, when employers are looking for people to employ, now let me talk about education. In this example, I'm going to use education. If you have a high school diploma, you belong to a pool. Let's say if this room was all of Canada, if you have a high school diploma, you belong to a pool of so many people. Yes. Every time you add value beyond a high school diploma, you shift to a smaller pool of people. When you go up, and now you have a master's degree and maybe even a specialized one, like registered psychotherapy, that one that I have there. Now you belong to an even much smaller group of people. And the opportunities are bigger. So if you think economics, if the supply is very big, the price is going to be low. But if the supply is very small, the price is going to be so high. Because you only have a few people to choose from. You don't have a luxury of picking from so many. So when the employers are picking from a very big pool, they will pick and choose. If they are picking from a very small pool, they have no option but to attach value to you, to the point that you can say, for me, if you're not going to pay me, let's say $100 an hour, I will not take the job, or I will not do that work. It is very possible. The more you add value to yourself, it's a principle. You will be very marketable. You'll be very valuable if anyone wants to employ you, or if you want to be your own business. And I cannot say
Pastor Eddie, when I see you, I see a very joyous person who has never seen no trouble in this land. Coming here, you're educated already. You then integrate into the system just to add on and go to school. And my question is here: have you had any turning point in this land, like any challenging, where you got fixed up and you felt this was beyond my help? I needed God.
I have to say, first of all, I have always needed God on a daily basis.
Like there are those moments when you're like,
but
this
I get
one.
your question. I understand your question. I could take you way back to, I told you off camera, for the day I arrived here. So I arrived in this country on August 9th, 2006, around 7:40 p.m.
How many years are those?
I don't know what that, 19 years, something like that, maybe 20 years. Yeah. So when I arrived, I want to honor a friend who welcomed me. Her name is, some people call her by other names, but we knew her because we went together. We went to the same university in Uganda. She goes by name Oprah by that time, at least. Yeah. But I think her official name is Mary. Not I think, I know that her official name is Mary. So my flowers to you, Mary.
Really, flowers.
So when I arrived, after maybe two or 3 days, maybe 2 days, we had to check in a shelter.
Pastor Ed, you have lived in a shelter before? Huh?
When I arrived,
okay,
even though I had a degree, even though I had come to do, I had actually come to do a master's degree. When I left Uganda, I've been working with local government, Masaka. I had a 2 years study leave. So when I came here, things changed. This is the full, true story of your Pastor Ed here. Things changed. So when I say things changed, I am going to leave that at that. Things changed significantly that I could not travel back. So I checked into a shelter within 2 days of arriving here. When I arrived here, when I arrived into the shelter, Good Shepherd Shelter, good people, amazing people. So I want you to picture that now I am 2 days ago, literally 24, what's 2 days? Yeah, 24 hours ago, I was in Uganda, working in the local government, in this very nice position, very respectful position. So within 24 hours, my life switches to a person who is now sleeping on a bunk bed. At the bottom is me. On top is this homeless guy. Total homeless guy who is struggling with drugs and all that. So I lived in that shelter for maybe 19, almost 20 days in the shelter. 20 days. Those days were deeply depressing for me. It took me a few days to adjust to the reality that I'm actually now sleeping in a shelter. And on the bunk bed is me, on the bottom it's me, and on top it's a homeless guy who was struggling. He had so many struggles. That moment, I don't think I've actually ever shared this detail of a moment. I've never shared it.
Your smile
My
says
family doesn't
different.
know it.
Wow.
I don't know if my wife knows it, but I'm okay to share it because of how you're asking the question. It's very possible to make the assumption, depending on how you see a person today, it's very possible to make the assumption that their life has been smooth all the way. I don't think that is true for anyone on this side of heaven. I don't think that is true for anyone. People just don't share their moments or their low moments. But I think the world is so imperfect that it is very difficult to find anyone who has had a smooth life all the way. That's why on one of my things I say always just be kind to people. You just don't know what battle they're fighting. Always just be kind to them. Maybe extra kind, because you don't know what battle they're fighting. But I wanted to point that out as one of those 19 days, not so much all the 19, the first 5 days in the shelter were one of my very depressing days, mainly because I was struggling to make the switch from the person that was 2 days ago and now this new person. Maybe this is the encouragement for my friends who are listening, that God will give you the grace when things happen and your new reality is different from what you had imagined. May God give you the grace to live in that new, to live in it. Because if you don't live in it, you're wishing for yesterday, but yesterday is way gone and you can't bring it back. You're now, if you don't live in that today, you're thinking, tomorrow things are going to change. But the reality is you are in the moment. So may God give you the grace to embrace the moment. Look out for people that are going to help you come out of that moment, as opposed to denying that moment. And some people resort to all kinds of things when they are in that moment of a very low state or depression. They resort to alcohol, to all kinds of drugs, or to sex, or all kinds of very destructive things. And the devil, we always say the devil is a liar. He truly is a liar. In that moment, he would want to totally consume you, and it's very painful to see how some have been consumed when they are in those low moments.
Pastor Ed, how long do you live in a shelter? How long
19 days.
Only 19 days.
19 days.
Wow. Some people have lived in the shelters longer.
I lived in the shelter. I know that and so well.
They have gotten to the low end, the real low end, that they even choose not to come out of those places. They don't want to associate. They are thinking about, they are failing to come out of the yesterday in the local government. And the now in Canada. At Pearson Airport. They are saying, I would go back. But even when you think about the going back, it may not be easy. Like you came. What encouragement do you give a person more and more? I would want to emphasize this because I've really found people who are really broken. They're at the edge of not even wanting to listen. Some of these people have become suicidal because they have lost their hope. I am telling you. And sometime in your own capacity, as you talk direct one-on-one, you can't give much, but from encouragement. From you to them, whoever is in that struggling time and at least wants to get the hope. Your own way at 20 days, but they seem to be very, very difficult. Talk to that person. Try to speak to that side of them in their heart.
So this, thank you, Collins. During those 19 days, there was a man in the shelter. His name is Elliot. We'll never forget him. He's from Zimbabwe. That's where he's born. I don't know what he saw. I don't know how I received so much favor in his eyes, but he paid attention to me. He guided me through the steps that I needed to take. Because guess what? You come here, it's a new land. Some things are a little bit different from what you're familiar with.
Very different.
So it is okay to be a little bit humble, and take the posture of learning and let people guide you. Those people who know how to guide you, because this is what they do for a living, guiding people, but they can only do so much. Only when you allow them can they do something successful. So I allowed him to guide me. So my encouragement would be, if you are in that step right now, or if that happens, God forbid, down the road, first of all, don't lose hope. And it's, oh, Pastor, you say that as if it is easy. Or if it was easy, I wouldn't be saying it at all. It would have been obvious. But I'm going to say it even one more time. Do not lose hope. When you lose hope, you're done. Always trust that things can be better. Don't forget to pray. Don't forget to pray. I will say that not as a light word, but as a principle. Don't forget to pray. Keep hold on to the hope. When God brings people around you who have an idea or two of how to get out of that situation, please take the help. Take the help. It's not a sign of weakness to take help. It's not a sign of ignorance to take help. Take the help for your own good, for the good of your family, for the good of in this land that you've come to,
Pastor
for your own good. Take the help.
Eddie, we have our sisters and brothers at that point in their life right now. They don't want to share their stories. And sometimes someone cannot help you right when they don't know your story.
Yeah.
How do you encourage them? How was it easy for you to share your story with Elliot? Was your story so light that it was easy for him to take? Was it a decision that you made because you had no plan B? Did you have nobody like, what was that inspiration that pushed you to share yours, to open up? Yeah.
I like so much where you ended. The inspiration that pushed me to be able to share is that desire to come out of the situation that I was in. Don't be comfortable. Maybe comfortable is even not the word I would be choosing here, so I take that word back. Don't normalize. Don't consider that situation the normal or the okay way of living. No, there are definitely alternatives. There are alternatives to a depressive state, to a state of low hope, to a state of feeling like nothing is going to be better tomorrow. There are alternatives to that state. So the inspiration was this very strong desire to come out of that state. So I don't think anybody here would desire anything less for them, but sometimes it's the battle of the mind. The battle of the mind. The devil convinces you that no, you don't equal to anything beyond what you're going through right now. In the shelter, your family is gone, your children or your family is far away from you. You have all these labels. You are a refugee. You are a homeless person. All these labels try to play funny tricks with you. But I want you to be encouraged by knowing that when you're inspired to come out of the situation that you're in right now, there are people here who do that for a living. They work, they sit down with people like you. I have many people like that. I do that for God knows how many people.
You talk them out their situation.
Yeah, but they have to express some willingness. So we do this thing called scaling. So so we say on a scale of 0 to 10. If the camera would zoom here, but it can't. So on a scale of 0 to 10, it's a very counseling tool. So it's a scale. So it's willingness. We are scaling willingness, a job. So if you came to me and you are in your most lowest depressive state, and I ask you about willingness, as long as you give me even 0.5, you say, Pastor, in terms of willingness, I feel like I'm only at 0.5. That is still enough. I can work with that. But if you have zero willingness to come out of the situation. Doesn't matter how many types of resources that this country has.
How many people you meet.
It doesn't matter. So a big part of this is a mindset job, of course, and that internal job of you saying, no, I know that I am better than what I am right now. I know that I can come out of these circumstances. And I say this sensitively because I know that for those of you who have maybe struggled so much that you have come to a very real state of depression, clinical depression, I am aware, I'm very aware that we are talking about someone who literally feels like they don't even have the energy to lift a finger. But I want to encourage you, if you can give even 0.5 willingness, it will be enough for somebody to work with you to come out of that. So be encouraged. The Bible says, I think it's Ecclesiastes chapter 9, that a living dog is better than a dead lion. So as long as you have breath in your lungs, as long as you're still here, you can still amount to so much. Utilize us, utilize Colin the joke, utilize all the people that are positive, utilize all the resources that are around. Yeah, we can do so much more.
We can be better.
We can be so much better.
Pastor Eddie, we will have this until
we'll
forever.
Continue from here. Yes,
we will have this forever. But your 20 days,
in the
10 days,
at Good Shepherd.
Yes, at Good Shepherd. Did you start working immediately? Did you find a job?
Yes, I did. Think of any job you can think of. I did it. Think of any job you can think of. I did it. Because for me, it was more, it was inconceivable for me to not know how I am going to manage rent for my family in Uganda. Because when I came here, my wife didn't come with me. It's not at first. Spent a few years here before she would come. So for me, I would rather do any job as long as it's legal. Very important.
Yes.
That's important to highlight there. I would rather lower myself to do any job than to worry about where rent is going to come from. So I did any job you can think of in those initial days. And then, but it didn't take too long until I finished. So what Elliot did for me, once he found out that I was thirsty to come out of this situation of being dependent and being relying on social assistance. Once he found that out, he guided me in what I should do. So at that time, I was working part-time jobs, but I was also going to school.
Okay.
I did all those things, the shelter standards, which many people do these days. I did all of that. So in a maybe, I don't know, 7 months, I got my first, what I would say, if I can use this word lightly, my first desired job. Okay. A job that I had desired. I say the word desired because all of us have different preferences. Okay. I know some people who have cleaning companies. For them, their desired job is actually cleaning. Yeah. So you can't just say that, oh, cleaning is a bad job. Well, it depends on who you talk to. Yeah. It depends on who you talk to. So I know somebody who does so well that I admire him in terms of finances. His job that he has done since the many years he's lived here, cleaning. He has like a few cleaning companies now, but he himself also cleans. He doesn't just hire people to clean for himself. He cleans. So but for me, that wasn't my desired job. No. So I wanted a social work job. So my first job, I got it, but after doing the courses that Elliot told me to do.
The guidance, you took the guidance.
Yeah, I did, but it was hard because I had to work. I had to also go to school. It was so hard. I barely slept, but because of taking the guidance, I landed my first desired job as an intake worker in a shelter, actually.
Congratulations.
St. Simon's shelter, Bloor and Shabon. Worked there for a while before. After that, the trajectory was going up and up. more school, better jobs.
Most people that we've had that are really struggling in the line of depression, mental health. A little statistic has it that those people have been well off back home. So the switch or the change really affected them.
It would affect you.
But I am learning from you that irrespective of how big you were, the position, the work, and where you came from, you humbled yourself. Even when you're talking about your first job, you say, name any job I would do. Because what was important to you was paying your bills and your family.
Making sure.
But many people are still locked up in who they are back home. I am a director home. I am a doctor home. I am an engineer home. In Canada, you are zeroed down to, what word is that? You're zeroed down to nothing, to zero, because you have to start afresh.
You're starting afresh. If you have to.
What encouragement are you giving that person who is in a state of starting, but then they still have?
So I will speak from two lenses. The first lens I'm going to speak with is the lived experience. So I know that it was very helpful for me to, at least after 5 or 6 days, I won't say right away I jumped into the state of acceptance. No, I did not. That's why I really struggled for the first 6 days. Really deeply struggled. But it was very helpful for me to come to a place of accepting that, okay, this is what's up. This is what's going on. I am right now categorized as a person who has no place of his own to live. That's actually who I am. Or that's part of my circumstances. No, don't actually make that your identity. It is just a part of you for now. For now. So very important as as we conclude, very important that you accept the circumstances. But do you know now the other lens I'm going to use is the lens of a counselor or therapist.
Yes.
Grieve your losses. Grieve your losses. And this is as real as it gets. That switch from how things were 5 days ago and now the new circumstances.
The now life.
The now.
Yeah.
If you don't grieve what you have lost, you will not move on. No. You will not move along with that loss. Because it is true, when we leave our countries or when we leave the things we leave behind, there's some loss involved. There is an element of loss involved.
Too much.
Now, all wisdom will tell you the best way to deal with loss is to grieve. Grieve that loss, count it gone, and receive the help that is here to start this journey in a different way. And it would be remiss of me if I don't remember to encourage you, as the psalmist would encourage you in Psalm 13. Remember that ultimately, under the sun, there is nothing that is catching God by surprise. In your journey, before you were even conceived in your mother's womb, He's aware that, Eddie was going to be in a shelter.
He says, I know the plans I have for you.
He really does. He really does. Wow. And none of those plans is to harm you, but to prosper you, to give you a good future. So I encourage you to consider what you have lost, count it loss, and now press on to move from this. Because if you don't, I will tell you this much. I have seen, as a pastor, inevitably you end up in places like this. I have attended funerals or buried people who have taken their own lives because of how things became so hard. Not so long ago, we were at a funeral of a brother from Kenya who, even though the community didn't want to talk about it so much, but we know enough to know that
he really struggled with the stress that comes from settlement, and part of what he was doing to manage the stress was drinking, over drinking, as a way to numb pain. But I know that even people who end up committing suicide, they are not so much trying to end life per se, they're trying to end the pain. So I'm going to encourage you very sensitively, please attend to the pain. Attend to the pain. There are so many ways that help can be given that can attend to the pain. Living a dark life for long only makes things harder for you. Once again, do not lose hope. We have to jump, of course, the call has started.
Collins, AJOK, real life experience. Pastor Eddie, this would go for a few minutes, like maybe 3 or 5 minutes. We have too much pain. Yet when we come here, from wherever we come from, Canada is a first world country. We expect a bed of roses.
Yeah.
But things somehow, things do not go the way we thought. We didn't even plan, but we thought, because we didn't know what we were finding.
Yeah.
Someone out there, accept and grieve off and keep going. And love yourself. Because when you love yourself, you're going to reach out. Help.
Yeah.
There's too much help, more than you can get in this, when you accept to get it. And when you're willing and you're humbled down, because some of this help you may get, you may feel like they are lowering you down.
True.
But I think it's the rule of the land. Everyone gets what they ask for, if it's helping to them. Let's love ourselves and let's know where we come from. Let's know the culture where we are, and let's try to integrate ourselves for the better, not for the worse. Let's not start doing the opposite of comfort. Sometimes you really feel the pain, like you said, to grieve off the pain. You start drinking so much. You start using drugs so much because sometimes you want to sleep off, and the end result may not be good because that's not who you are. Places are here. Pastor Eddie is here. He's reachable. And if you want him, hey, look for me. Collins AJOK, real life experience. I know every time we are welcome. We still have much more. There's a story you have to tell us and how it ended. I don't know whether in 5 minutes you would give us a brief of the first time I meet with you, my privilege. And when I know I had to receive from you is when I knelt down and I know this is a fountain from which I have to drink from all the time. We had a crisis come July
2023.
2023. July 7th. You still even know the name. Yeah, at least I remember it's July. It was so hot. It was so bad. How are our people doing? Did you try to follow up? Did you try to know how they are? Are they better off now? Have they settled in? How is it like?
So the stories are different. There are some people right now, they are in. I have an example of a person who is a manager in the place where they work.
Okay.
So that's an example. There's some people, as you said, who are still in the shelter.
Okay.
Yeah, so the stories are different. They are varied. But I would say, as an umbrella, we are not where we were in July 2023.
We cannot go back there.
We are not there.
Wow.
We are not there. And I have so much to say about that story, which we will start with the next time that we meet. In fact, it's partly because of that story and all that work that these awards have come, but also it's
the most recent
reason that I have people that I have to go connect with right now, so that we can continue this work, that one day we'll set up
Pastor
Canada
Eddie,
in such a way that there is no person who will ever have to live on the streets of Toronto.
This is the most recent that I remember. I have it. I have this one in my hands, and I was so privileged to be there in the honor.
Yes.
The Canadian Black Clergies and Allies.
Yes.
Who is he in 1 minute as he says bye-bye to our people? Community Recognition Award presented to Pastor Eddie Jjumba in honor of your exceptional leadership and dedicated service to our community.
Yes. So who is
this award? Why does it show up? I mean, it's the most recent that I know, so fresh.
Yeah.
I think I'm one of those first people to have this.
Absolutely, no one else has touched it. Yeah. So the Canadian Black Clergies and Allies is this very strong body that was formed. It was actually formed when the George Floyd event happened. George Floyd, so for those who don't know, is the black man who was killed by a police officer who put a knee on his neck in the US. So the question was, where are all the men and women of God? They are too silent. How come they're not speaking up against all these injustices that are happening? So the Canadian Black Clergies and Allies were formed. Now, when they were formed, they were formed before the refugee crisis. But when the refugee crisis happened, they heard about me and myself and Pastor Judith, the other church, and they reached out to us to say, oh no, we have to stand with you. Wow. So they remained with us in very close proximity as they supported in different ways. And because of that, they became very close to how I was living my life. And by the grace of God, by the help of many people that we served together with, they said, no, we have to take a moment and to just acknowledge this man for what he's doing. That's how Eddie, this came.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I am honored. I am coming back.
I'll be here when you come back.
Thank you so much.
May God bless you. God bless all the listeners. For those of you who are desiring this land to be yours, the Bible says we'll go there. We'll not just step foot there, but wherever we step foot, we'll conquer that land. Believe that. Or hold God accountable. Say, Lord, you said this. I now want to see it manifested in my life and start taking those steps.
Collins, AJOK real life experience. You meet greatness. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you.
You're welcome. God bless you.
Thank you, sir.